Mexico, religious and leaders of thought across the country and around the world share messages of love, peace, and unity at Christmas to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ. And we go one-on-one with the immediate past Minister of Women Affairs, Barrister Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye, examining the state of the nation with focus on citizens' welfare and well-being as we celebrate the Yuletide. Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's Commercial Nurse Center, Lagos. Merry Christmas to all of you, our brothers and sisters of the Christian faith, and happy holidays to everyone that is watching us in Nigeria and around the world. It's a special day, and today I know loads of you are home having a great time with your friends, especially with your families, or out there with one form of event or the other. Well, we are here to do what we love to do, to bring you up to speed. The polity and politics doesn't take holidays, so we have to be here to bring you up to speed as to what is going on within our country. And of course, the messages are all over the place. But let's begin with that message from the president, who has felicitated with Nigerians on Christmas celebration, saying the country is on a path of restoration and progress. In a statement he personally signed on Tuesday, he urged citizens to pray for the nation's leaders at all levels. He said, I extend my heartfelt greetings to Christians across the country and worldwide as we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ as narrated in the Holy Scriptures. Nigeria is on a promising path of restoration and progress with every indication pointing towards a bright future. Let us renew our hope and believe in a prosperous Nigeria. Let us extend similar support and prayers to our nation's leaders for the backing we can serve our country diligently and strive for prosperity. Those were some of the messages from President Bola Tinubu. He shared on Tuesday. He's right here in Lagos to celebrate with Christians around the world, and especially Christians in Nigeria. So it's going to be an hour-long conversation with two persons. First is going to be with the Minister of Women Affairs, the immediate past Minister of Women Affairs, Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye, since she left office as part of the 5 persons that were removed by the Tinubu administration in the last minister cabinet shake-up. She hasn't granted an interview, so this is the first time I guess she'll be talking to the press. And of course, we'll have joining us at some point a preacher who will be bringing us up to speed. Reverend Samuel will be joining us to just tell us about what this season means to all of us. But first, let's bring you our political roundup stories.
The governor of Delta State, Mr. Sheriff Oberevori, has called on Nigerians to use the season of joy and goodwill to reflect on the values of unity, peace, and selflessness to work for the sustainable progress and development of the country. Governor Oberevori made the call while speaking to journalists after the Christmas service in Asaba, the state capital. He also commiserated with relatives of victims of the recent stampedes in some states in the country.
A lot of things have happened for the past few days. There's nowhere you don't have mistakes. Where we have stampedes, most of those states commiserate with families over this loss.
In Ogun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun, his family members and members of the State Executive Council joined other personalities at the Christmas and Holy Communion service held at the St. James Anglican Church, Ikperu, Ikene local government area of the state. Addressing members of the congregation, the governor admonished them to reflect on the teachings and lessons of the season as exemplified in the birth of Jesus Christ.
Let us continue to persevere with patience. We will soon begin to see the benefits of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR's bold and audacious reforms.
The governor of Cross River State, Mr. Basi Otu, has signed the 2025 appropriation bill into law. In his address during the signing, the governor emphasized that the bill is focused on driving economic growth and highlighted sectoral allocations such as aviation, special duties, intergovernmental affairs, power, agriculture, tourism, and others. The governor also expressed readiness to deliver effective service and build a brighter future for the people of Cross River State.
We are building a future that offers opportunities for all. And with your continued support, we create an environment that encourages investment, improves the quality of life, will foster unity and peace across our community.
Elder statesman Edwin Clark is urging the President Tinubu-led administration and religious clerics across the country to prioritize peace and national unity as the country joins the rest of the world to celebrate Christmas. The former Minister of Information and Pan-Niger Delta leader gave the charge in his Christmas message in Abuja. According to him, those in position of authority, whether in politics or religion, should preach peace and shun nepotism, as Nigeria belongs to all.
We are all one. Whether you are in Southeast, whether you are in Southwest, whether you are in Northwest, you are in Northeast, North Central, or Southeast, or South, we are all Nigerians.
All right, those are the round of stories we've been tracking for you as far as the politics is concerned. Political leaders, elder statesmen and leaders of thought sharing their Christmas messages across board. But hey, let's get straight to that conversation with the former Minister of Women Affairs, Barrister Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Madam, it's good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good to see you smile because a lot of Nigerians haven't seen you. I remember clearly when you were a minister, you are one of the most popular ministers because you are all over the place most of the time. If something is happening in one secondary school or one primary school or one, you're all over. So how have you been? What have you been up to?
Thank you so much. Let me first introduce myself the way it should be because you said was removed. I am Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye, the sacked Minister of Women Affairs. I think I'll prefer you to use that word. Are you understanding my point? I am fine. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Well, since I didn't want to, since you say we should call it the sacked minister, I'll stick to
yes.
I'll stick to your brief. I was asking, you are one of the ministers that were sacked by the president. 5 of you.
By the president, yes.
Yeah, so we're going to come to that just in a moment. But I just wanted to find out, what have you been up to? Because I think we saw you, if I remember very well, we saw you in court or one of those. But just bring us up to speed on what you've been up to.
Thank you. I was sacked, but my visions remain. My visions are not sacked. They still remain. So I've been doing all those things I was doing when I was the Minister of Women Affairs. I still go to court to defend the people that can't defend themselves and don't have money to get a lawyer. All the cases I had before I left, I am still handling it. I remember they are quite very sensitive cases where 2-year-old, 4-year-old, and 8-year-old were raped, sodomized. So it's not a case that I could have just abandoned. And I'm still going ahead to empower women, young girls, children, men. But nowadays I can empower anybody, but of any sex, I can empower them. So at times I disguise myself, I go to the market. If I want to give like Okrika bail, I give to a lot of them, I will go to the market so that I get the right people. Remember, I always go out to make sure things are done right. That is very important to me. So I usually disguise myself, go to the market, and I'll be able to see those that are picking the Okrika, but they don't have money for bail. And I will now gather them before I remove my disguise for them to recognize me, take them to where I packed those things, which was given to me by an organization, and I will give it out to them. So I'm virtually actually doing things I have been doing before. Then I'm producing some movies on moral, which was partly what I wanted to do before the sack, so that I'll be able to teach people about the mobile court that was coming up, which was already approved, and so many other things on how to rescue these children that are hawkers on the streets, and so on and so forth. So most things I was doing before. Remember, I was doing them even before I became the minister. So I just went back to what I've been known for, and then gone back to my practice, and so many other things. I've under 48 hours, not that it wasn't a kind of shocked the initial time, but I've been able to, because in life, to tell you the truth, the best thing that can happen to anybody, whatever that happens, note that there must be a reason for that. After all, you didn't put yourself there, somebody did. God used somebody to put you there.
All right, madam.
So anytime God decides that it's time for you to leave, take a walk and refocus.
Okay, there are lots of questions I want to ask you. If you can hear me. So
I can hear you.
Why do you think you were sacked? Why, in your own books, why do you think you were fired by the president?
My dear brother, remember, I'm no more a minister. Anything concerning government, I don't think you should ask me. I'm not a witch to know why I was sacked. I'm not a witch. And I've decided not to even think about it. I didn't think about it. The important thing is that I've been sacked. And another thing is that I've refocused myself. I've moved on to continue what I'm doing I used to, and still makes me happy.
The reason I'm asking that question,
empowering people.
My apologies. The reason I'm asking that question, we had Bayo Nanuga, one of the spokespersons of the president, saying that the president spoke to all of you before the decision or before the announcement was made. So I'm wondering, what could he have told you as his reason for letting you go?
I am not aware of that. So, because sometimes when it comes to these issues, I think you just let it be. I'm sorry to answer it like this. Like I said, the most important thing is that I have been sacked, and Nigerians know it. And I thank Nigerians for the kind of support they gave to me. I couldn't believe it. You know, they really supported me. A lot of them spoke on my behalf, spoke out for me. I thank them, but at the same time, I keep advising, when one door closes, just try your best to reopen another one. Even if it's the one you closed before because of the other door, reopen it and continue what you're doing. I don't like dulling my life over anything. That's the point. Yeah,
so since maybe you didn't know why you were fired, or the president may not have told you, I will tell you some of the things that Nigerians said that could be the reason. Some said, oh, you didn't have enough tact and diplomacy in carrying yourself as a minister. Others said it could be a question of competence. Others said it could be internal wrangling within the polity. Others said because you had no political godfather. Is there anyone that fits into the things you may be thinking of as to why you were sacked?
Okay, the issue of me not being diplomatic, as they said, I think I could talk on that because, one, being Minister of Women Affairs, as at the time I was, remember, I was handling very sensitive cases. You will be in your office and they bring in a 2-year-old and show you that this girl has been raped. You see some substance from the man transmitted to this girl and to the baby. I wonder what you would have expected me to do. Even some of them said, why does she doesn't carry herself like a minister. She goes to police station herself. Why couldn't she be in the office and call the IG? I'm sorry for some people the way they think, because as a minister, actually, you're supposed to be a servant to the people. You listen to them and you respond quickly before things go wrong. So most times, some of those cases, I can't fold my hands, and probably somebody comes to tell you they want to release a guy that raped a child, like the one they brought, who started wearing Pampers at 4 years again because she was leaking from sodomizing and raping. So I had to rush to that police station to make sure they don't release the guy. I followed them to the court and met with the judge. I walked into the court. I explained things to the judge, and we did everything we could to make sure the person is remanded in prison. And the matter is still going on. It's some of those things that you see me in court. So I don't know what people think about being diplomatic when things are damaging. Okay, I can explain to you. You will tell people, look, you can't spend this kind of amount of money to do just meeting when people are suffering. When you come to security and insecurity and peace, you can't spend so much, hundreds of millions, to do that while the people that there is hunger. There's no way you can achieve anything from that. And if you have said it over and over again, and it was done behind your back, What do you expect me to do? I have a responsibility given to me to man that place and make sure things go right. That was the responsibility I was given. And I wouldn't have tolerated it in any form, anybody trying to rubbish the seat given to me or do things that the government that gave me job will not achieve anything at the end of the day. There must be an impact on people. So I don't understand what they mean by not being diplomatic. If you have been speaking, nobody knows how many times you've spoken about something before you decided to come all out to take that kind of action right in front of everybody. So I myself that wore the shoes, I knew where it pinched me. And I'm glad today that I didn't give such chance while I was there. And I have no regrets in the way I did my job. I don't have any regrets. And I don't think I could have done it anyhow better than, but that was the highest way I myself could have done it. So that issue of not being diplomatic is what I
think clearly your passion was not in doubt. Everybody could see your passion. How you executed that passion is now the subject of debate. We're going to come to the issues of these monies that perhaps you got on the wrong toes and all of that. We're going to come to that. But just to land on this one and maybe move on from there is, the people pointed the issue of your face-off with the lawmakers, you storming event, a particular event. I remember saying this event was not sanctioned by your ministry, some issues around you trying to sue the United Nations and all of that. Why were you pushing that hard as a minister?
So when I got in there, moreover, I'm very much in good terms with United Nations. I have no issues with them. All I was able to achieve is to change the action plan. The action plan was not making impact on the people of Nigeria. You can't be spending billions of dollars and the people, poverty continued increasing. And Nigeria is not seeing all this. What are we talking about? All I wanted them to do was to change the action plan in such a way that it will make an impact on our people, the vulnerable people. I said it in UNGA, I said it in CSW, and I kept saying it. So at the end of the day, I still achieved it because we were able to change some of the things. UNICEF changed the action plan to focus more on things that will make more impact. And remember, some of the places they spend money is on social norms. And those social norms, you can't continue doing the same thing over and over again when it's not working. You spend so much money, you say you're going to talk to them, you're going to do this, which was why they joined me. The mobile court I got, UNICEF and even UN Women, they went with me severally to Attorney General's office. They went with me to police station. Sometimes if I'm going to police station for these things, some of these UN people, they join me to do that. So if I said I was going to sue the United Nations, they knew what I was talking about. And they knew what I needed them to do so there will be impact on my people.
So let's
just talking about our nation.
Okay, let's juxtapose
shooting ourselves on the foot.
Let's juxtapose a few issues. Now you talked about the action plan. Maybe you walk us through what this action plan is. I can't remember the amount exactly, but it's either $100 million or $500 million that was meant to be released as loans to support women and all of that. And then you needed to sign off. I don't know whether you signed off to that money. And maybe you bring Nigerians up to speed as to why, whether you signed off and why perhaps you didn't sign off on that particular money. Because there has been a back and forth.
I got to cut you off. No. Listen to me.
Yes.
I am no more there. If anybody should discuss this, you just mentioned, it should be my sister that is there, the recent, the Minister for Women Affairs. I am no more there. The day I dusted my legs out of that place, I forgot everything concerning that place. And I've refocused my life. I mean it.
I was raising that issue,
which is equally competent.
Yes. The reason I was raising that issue, because I have a couple of things I want you to respond to on the program. The reason I was raising that issue was because I know that there were issues at that moment. So whether there was a resolution to that issue is what I wanted to find out from you, because we didn't get to hear the end of it.
No, maybe the end of it is not yet there. So just find a way to ask that question to them.
Okay, I understand where you're going to.
You were with me where I stopped. So that place I stopped is that was where I stopped.
Okay, it's as far as we read. It's as far as I was not with you in the office. We just read, so we need all this clarity.
No, not only that you read, I spoke about it several times.
Yes. So let's talk about.
For now, I don't know what's going on there.
Let's talk about what is going on in the country. A couple of things, because I'm going to come back to a few things, but I want to marry a couple of the issues so we can cover as many things as possible. I know you're very passionate about women. I know you're very passionate about children, and that has been clearly seen. If you were to look at the Nigerian state as it is under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu as the minister, as you served under him as a minister, what would you say is your view of the situation of the country?
Okay, from the little knowledge of things that I know, I have never seen any positive move as I'm seeing now. Listen, remember I was sacked. I'm not saying it to impress anybody. I'm just telling you because I've been very passionate about how things should move in the country. And I have never seen anything as positive as I am seeing right now. Because in all this while, we've been living on illusions. That is my own belief. We've been living on illusions. We've been living in a house without foundation. But as it is as if we are digging down to fortify a very solid foundation, then grow up out of it and build it up. That is the way I see it, sincerely. That's what I'm telling you. So now, in as much as there is suffering, it's just for a matter of time. By the time that foundation comes up, it will permanently stabilize things. So I still tell Nigerians to hold on as I see them holding on. That foundation is coming up. And I'm watching, I'm following up myself. And you know me, I'm a very blunt person. I don't fear anybody, I only respect people. If I see anything, I say it as I feel. That is the way it is. That's why they say you're passionate, you're passionate. I just say things as they are. We have hope, seriously, because gradually, things will start changing. That is my own view of what I'm saying.
So are you saying, so that we understand you properly, are you saying that the president is on the right path? Because when he had the media chat, some very emphatic questions were asked, and he was very bold in his response, even when there were pushback as to, shouldn't he have done it differently? He said, no, there's no other way I could have done it. So are you saying that the president is on the right path, but people are really, because the Nigerians are really suffering, and it's almost really getting quite difficult to handle for a lot of people?
Yes, if I talk now, they'll say maybe she's saying it to impress. No,
you're free to talk. Sorry, you're no longer a minister, so you're free to talk.
Exactly. But let me tell you,
give your view as a citizen.
There's something I like about our president, his doggedness in doing things. He does things he feels that is right, whether you feel anyhow on it or not. That is what we need right now. Somebody who will stand firmly and follow up a procedure, a policy that will lead us to a better life. That's what we need. So I think he's on the right path. That's what I would have done if I should have been the president, to tell you the truth.
Why we always,
the reason to impress.
Yes, the reason why we ask these questions, and because we have references. For instance, in Ghana, where the election happened, and this has nothing to do with, okay, maybe you can posit it that way. Akufo-Addo is the president that is leaving. He served for 8 years, beating John Mahama, who has now returned. And some of the reforms and the policies were brought by the government came in, and people were very uncomfortable and kept saying, look, this thing is hurting. He did his best in terms of inflation level to bring it down to a certain point. Now, his inflation got to 50% in Ghana, but he was able to bring it down to 20%. But his party lost woefully in the last election. So I'm asking that question because there is the wisdom of the leader and the expectation of the people. So juxtapose that wisdom of the leader and the expectation of the people. Where do we have a meeting point?
See, if for any reason Mr. President decides to force the inflation down, it is still not going to help us. It will backfire after a while. It's just like going back to to the pit where we're just trying to come out from. Because if it is not natural, it will never be permanent. So I prefer it going gradually. Let us all relax. Let's take that hit. And gradually we will get out of it. I support it going gradually out of that pit. Only that others, all of us must have to help. It's not only the president that will do everything. People that negotiate our loan should look into what they are doing. People that are donors, handling the donors' monies, that are writing the programs for donors' monies. Those are part of people that are our problems. Because you can't write things that will not favor your country simply because you're selfish. You just write things like I keep saying on fistula disease. How can the money be brought to treat fistula patients and the Nigerian is writing on that money that they let the money be used to train fistula doctors? Where is it done? These are people that are our problems. Until we start prosecuting such people, you write anything like that that will not favor the country out of selfishness, that person should be arrested and prosecuted. That way they would learn their lessons, because it's not like they don't have the brain. The brains are there. It's just that they think about themselves rather than thinking about their country. So if some of these people should start being looked into, why are they doing that? Is it to favor them or not? You will find out that by the time we correct some of these things, this inflation will drop by itself. Because when monies are going to the wrong hands and they are not properly utilized and people continue suffering, no matter what president does, he will only succeed 10%. So these are the areas I think we Nigerians should look into. All of us. It's not just about president. We ourselves should be aware. But I thank God Nigerians are actually looking up, that following things, that are moving well the way I like, looking out for one another. I like that. But people that are negotiating your loan, they have an office that negotiates loan. Why are some of those loans negotiated the way they did? Then these people that are planning programs, like I use fistula for example, why do they go mainly for things that will not make an impact in that particular program? Rather, they do it in a way that it is something that are not tangible, something you can't really look at it and say the money was used for this particular thing. So what happens to those monies? I will continue asking this question until I see the issues being addressed. All right, so that's the point.
Madam, we're going to go on a quick. We're going to go on a quick break.
On his part.
Yes, we're going to go on a quick break when we come back. You see, I asked you a question about that loan and you didn't want to answer, but you've gone back there again. So I may be tempted to ask you more questions as long as that loan is concerned.
I didn't go back there.
No, you went back there because you're talking about the loan.
Negotiators.
Yes, it's still about the loan. It's still about the loan. Whether they are, it's still loan we're talking about.
Generally.
Okay.
Generally.
You give us the insight. But when we come back, we're also going to look at some of the challenges of the ministry that you have left now, and some of the things you learned as far as that ministry is concerned, what you can pass on to your successor. But we'll go on this quick break. When we come back, the former minister of Women Affairs, she said, I should say the sacked minister. So let me stay with that word, the sacked minister of Women Affairs, Uju-Kenedy, Ohaneye. She's still with us. Join us again. All right, let's begin to wrap up that conversation with Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye, the former minister of Women Affairs. She says, I should stick to what happened, that she was sacked. So one of the 5 ministers that were sacked by President Bola Tinubu in the recent cabinet shakeup. Madam, thanks for staying with us. But let's get to some of the challenges you faced as a minister in that ministry in terms of funds. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we understand there were some kind of support to the ministry just before the tail end of your exit. And maybe you can walk us through what the challenges are and what happened with some of those funds, if you will.
The programs are initiated in the ministry, like the mobile court going to rescue these small girls that are hawking on the streets. When I mean 5-year-old, to 12-year-old, hawking on the street, rescue them, take them back to school. I did not have money for that because it wasn't part of what they budgeted for. So when I called on Nigerians, I was so surprised on the 15th of October. A lot of them, including Chifato Eze, they all gathered at the villa and they donated money to this effect. They were very happy to support it. Even Tony Elumelu and co, they donated a lot of money. Unfortunately, not up to 2 weeks after the donation, as we were trying to take off, starting from decongesting the courts, the prisons, and going to the streets, I was sacked. So when that happened, remember, they donated that money to me to help these poor people, the vulnerables, as a minister. So there was no way I could have continued using that money. I didn't even use it at all. So what happened was I asked the secretary that was in charge to write to the bank to do reversal of the funds. So everybody that donated money, Atweza gave 100 million, so many other people, 30 million, 20 million, both Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, but mainly Igbos, a lot of them came. All their monies were paid back to them. I didn't touch a penny, I didn't use any, because I was to use it in my capacity as a minister. As far as I was not a minister anymore, the best thing was to return their money. And remember, it's a legal kind of thing. So I am a lawyer, and which was why I would have been able to handle that aspect perfectly well. So I returned their money, but I thank them. I appreciate Nigerians. They were happy. As I speak to you, they came together. A particular guy is opening an app that we are going to launch in a few days or early January, app that they want to be sponsoring for me to continue what I was doing as a minister, to continue helping people, to continue the issue of rescuing those girls, sending them back to school. So the app will be launched soon. So you can imagine the kind of support Nigerians are giving me, and equally ready to give out to those vulnerable people. They really want to gather and make sure that where they put money, it will be properly utilized. So I thank them. I had challenges, but I was managing myself to be able to do it. And I was putting in a lot of my money. As I speak to you, a lot of my money is stuck there. But my sister there is trying her best, and they're gradually paying me back. The ministry is gradually paying me back. And I use my money because without that, I wouldn't have been able to achieve anything. That opportunity given to me is not an easy or simple thing to get easily like that. So when I got it, I thank God I was given that chance to showcase who I am and show my passion and touch the few lives I was able to touch. I thank God for that. So I managed, and if I had not put in my money, like the keke, like I told you, it was my money that I bought the keke with. It's not, it doesn't belong to the ministry.
So, just a moment. So, two things I want to find out. Is it that the ministry is so underfunded that you needed to use your personal money? Because this is the Ministry of Women Affairs in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nobody expects you to use your personal fund. The government should be able to fund. Is it that the ministry is grossly underfunded? That's one question. Question number two is, these donations that were sent to you because of some of this initiative that you now had to return this money, how much was it? If you can remember.
Like I said, Chief Actors, they donated 100 million. A few other people, 30 million, 5. The list of the money I got there was 2 million. And if every other person that had gotten everything had got close to 280 million.
Yeah, so I was asking.
280 million.
Okay, about 280 million. So I needed to establish that. The first question I asked was, how insufficiently funded? Maybe let me put it differently. Is it that the ministry is underfunded that you had to use your money? I think that was my question.
Not only that it was underfunded, most times that the last budget, what they like to put mainly is just programs. And I didn't like that because the programs were not making any impact. I was looking at this at wastages. So the programs I brought that could make impact on the people, they will tell you it was not on the budget. So if it is not there, and I don't want anybody that will, hook me into something and I will start having, probably I wouldn't be here by now, and EFCC and ICPC would have been carrying me up and down. I thank God for that. So I had to find a way to raise money. Like the mobile court, they will tell you it is not there. But the mobile court would have helped the ministry to protect the rights and the rights of these little children and the women, that GBV and all that. So it was something very important. There was no money for it. the KK, so the empowerment, they don't even put anything there for empowerment, which is difficult for any minister to work. How do you at least prove to the person that has given you job that you could do that job? If you're just sitting down there as a stick, they do programs and whatever it is, they will now tell you, okay, this is for you, or this is not for you, or this is where you can go, or this is where you cannot go. So that was why I focused on that breaking of that brick wall to start focusing the ministry to empowerment and support and protection of rights.
So let's now talk solutions. So it appears from the way you sound and perhaps what you experienced in the short time where you are the helm of affairs, it looks like funding of the Ministry of Women Affairs seemed like some sort of a tokenism, if you will. It's not like there's an aggressive pursuit of trying to better the life of women and children where your ministry sits. Because I guess that's the idea of this ministry, to give a focus, a laser focus on women and children, because they are a critical part of the society. In fact, they are the most vulnerable and they have to be protected at all costs. So if you were to propose some level of reform in the Ministry of Women Affairs so that it's more impactful, money's channels, so that it reaches the people down the line, what will it be?
What it will be is to look in and change the narratives there. Most of the things, from my own understanding, I may be wrong, but this is my own understanding. That ministry is supposed to focus more on making impact on women and children, protecting their rights, and securing them. That was what I felt. And if there is a problem, like I used to do, couples, if they're having issues, they write me, I call them on the phone, they come, I settle them. Sometimes it's only like 100,000 that could even make a difference in their lives. So that is where I feel that ministry is meant for legally. That is from my own legal aspect of it.
Okay.
That is the job they are supposed to be doing. But I didn't meet anything like this there. I didn't. What I met was more of programs, advocacies, meetings, travels. That was what I met, which I didn't like.
All right, we must thank you. We must thank you so much, Madam Uju-Kenedy Ohaneye, former Minister of Women Affairs. Thank you so much for your time. And just in 10 seconds, if President Tinubu calls you back, would you like to work again with him? Would you like to work with him again?
I will not answer that. I have been sacked. That's where I stay. That's where I remain. I am a sacked minister. I don't want to think about anything so that I can be able to focus my life.
Now, I will respect that. Thank you for coming on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. God bless you. Absolutely.
Let's now switch gears to the reason for the season, the Yuletide. It's Christmas today, as you can see all over the place. I'm sure there are celebrations where you are. We're being joined on the program right now by the lead pastor of Transforming Church and the convener of prophetic prayer, Reverend Samuel, joins us via Zoom. Reverend, thank you so much for coming on the program, and thank you for your patience. I know you had a busy day.
Thank you. It's been great listening to, like she rightly placed it, the former sacked or the sacked minister. It's quite interesting listening to her.
All right, Reverend, let's begin with the significance of these seasons and lessons we can learn, because it's a usual ritual every other year, and so there could be, quote unquote, some level of fatigue in terms of reoccurrence, and we may not know when we are missing out on the potency of the hour. So walk us through why this is significant and this has to be sustained.
One of the most remarkable things about Christmas is the fact that we're celebrating a person. That's very critical. And I think sometimes the event can eclipse the person. We can become so masked that we don't even get to see the person that is the reason for the season. Because if we choose to focus on the person responsible for the season, or the person for which the season is being commemorated, then we may want to dive in a little bit into the life, the leadership, the governance style. We may want to dive a little bit into the social interaction style of that particular person. So Christ is the reason for Christmas. And one of the things you know about Christ is the fact that his coming to earth was actually because of the hopelessness and the helplessness of man. So he came in to solve the problem of hopelessness and helplessness. For many of us who were hopeless and many of us who were helpless, who couldn't help ourselves, we couldn't fix our moral bankruptcy. He came in to help us fix all of that. So I think it's critical that as we celebrate the season, we look at the person that is actually at the center of it all, from which we can now glean wisdom for every aspect of life.
So walk us through what we can learn in terms of leadership at a personal and national level that the Christ exemplified, walking on earth for 30 years, 3.5 years set out in his ministry, and has been able to accomplish what today is still impactful, even multiple thousands of years later. So what are the lessons leadership? Because it's critical. The reason I asked about the question of leadership, we've always had leadership problem in our country, despite the fact that we have human and natural resources in abundance.
Well, thank you so much. That's a very important question you've just asked. And once you use the word leadership, it is critical to actually break that down, because leadership is the capacity to be able to move a group of people from a place of less or lesser desirability to a place of greater desirability. What that simply means is that leadership is all about movement. Leadership is about moving people from a lower place of existence to a higher place of existence. The job of leadership is to come alongside with the people, feel their pain, touch their pulse, and be able to actually capture their aspiration. And by putting in place the relevant governance system, you are able to help the people with structure, system, policies, and all of that to get the people to where they desire to be. If you look at Jesus Christ, when he came to meet us, when he came to the earth, he met us at the lowest of our state of existence. But by the time Jesus was living, and look at where we are today, Jesus has lifted us to a higher and better state of existence. That is what leadership is all about. Leadership is all about movement. The job of leadership, whether at the local level, family level, whether it's at the church, the mosque, wherever you find yourself, the job of leadership is to move the people from a lesser place of desirability to a place of greater desirability. So leadership is not done if people are not moved.
So in terms of national leadership, what are the qualities you think that a leader that will want to lead a country, and this has nothing to do with any person in particular, that wants to lead a country like Nigeria, needs to have? And I want you to juxtapose that with the unique challenges we face as a people. And that challenge stems from low trust quotient, poverty, crisis of different shapes, insecurity. I could go on and on.
Thank you so much. One of the most important things that a leader should have, number one, the first thing a leader should have is a servant heart. You can't have a servant leader who is not first a servant at heart. And if a leader fails the servant test, he is not qualified to lead. So the first thing a leader needs to have is the heart of a servant. Take that away from a leader, you're going to have a heartless leader. So the heart of leadership is servanthood. Number two, a leader needs to have vision. Vision is critical. The capacity to be able to see farther and farther than the people that you are leading is critical. That's what makes you a leader, that you are able to see farther and you're able to see better, and you are able to communicate what you are seeing to the people. Now, this is very critical. Vision without communication can bring frustration. A leader may mean well. A leader may have a great vision. A leader may truly want to take a community, an organization. A leader may want to take an institution or even a nation to a great height. The failure in the area of communication, the insufficiency of communication in that leader's life can become a reason why there will be resistance, there will be frustration, there will be inhibition. Because when the people don't understand where you are taking them to, even if it is for their own good, when you enter a plane, one of the things you notice in the plane is that right at the door, they will tell you this plane is going to Lagos. When you are at the departure hall, they tell you this is announcement for people going to Lagos. You get on board, the pilot will also tell you we're going to Lagos. It is critical. And then when you're about to come through turbulence, the pilot tells you we're about to come into turbulence, fasten your seat belt, but nothing to worry about. You see, people need to hear that. When a leader leads, it's critical that there is vision and there must be communication. It is critical that within every 26 days, a leader shows up before the organization, institution, or nation to tell people where we've been, where we are, and where we're going to.
All right, Reverend Oye, as we begin to wind down, you've mentioned something quite critical, and I like the way you, the analogy you gave with the airline travels, using the airport as an example. You've mentioned communication, because before you mentioned that, I was processing what you were trying to say, how do we translate vision into measurable, realistic impacts? So if we sort out the issue of communication, what else as we begin to wind down?
It is critical that once a leader first is a servant at heart, he has clearly articulated vision. The next thing is communication. Beyond communication now of the vision is the need to build a solid team of men and women who are action-oriented, who are people that can deliver. The reason is very simple. No matter how great the vision of a leader is, if the team that works with the leader are ineffective, don't deliver, that leader will be considered to be a weak, ineffective leader. You know why? A leader is as strong as the team that surrounds him. The team surrounding a leader will either multiply the leader or they will diminish the leader. It is therefore critical that a leader carefully, painstakingly choose his team, because a failure in choosing the right people to execute the vision of the leader will lead to the frustration of the vision of the leader.
All right, in 30 seconds, how far can spiritual leaders like you, what's the latitude you have to be able to check civil authority?
We do not have any constitutional authority to go around and be policing people who are leading the government, but there's something we do have, and that is to ensure that as leaders in the faith-based community, either pastors, imams, our job is to ensure that the truth is being preached without compromise from our pulpit. 2, that our lives models the truth that we teach. Because if our lives contradict the truth, then it makes it ineffective and inefficient. Thereby, we're going to have in society leaders like priests, meaning the leaders will be a reflection of who the priests are.
I must thank you. Quite insightful. Some of your submissions this evening. Reverend Sam Oye is the lead pastor of the Transforming Church Abuja and the convener of the Prophetic Prayer Hour, sharing the message of Christmas with us. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Such an honor. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company, and Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holiday. Tomorrow is Boxing Day. So you're still at home, but we'll be right here to do the work we love to do. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.